So as not to confuse you guys, this was going to be an extension to the previous video, but that ended up being big enough as it was anyway, so here it is. Alright, so this video has changed direction a tiny bit. One, because I'm currently riding a M113. Now, this M113 is not the same one you saw just a second ago. A few weeks passed, sorry. That's actually partly because this one here took weeks to arrive because the couriers wouldn't pick it up and all sorts of rubbish like that. But I've got another M113. Now, you're probably wondering why I've got another M113, and you're probably wondering how I'm riding it. Well, so this is an M113 out of a S500. During the last video, obviously we checked fitment, and that one fitted great, bar the fact it was a bit high on the gearbox side, and I couldn't get any lower because of crossmember. Well, turns out I couldn't get it low enough, and I'm pretty sure the gearbox wasn't going to fit, so I had to rethink my strategy. So from that nice rear bowl sump, we've had to go to sump I thought wouldn't fit, which actually might fit. And that's the front bowl sump. Now this really restricts our movement because our crossmember has to sit in there. So this engine has to kind of sit where it's told without modifying a sump, which I really don't want to do. But we've got, so between the block and the bottom of the sump here, we've only got a few inches there, which isn't too bad. Whereas I think on this one, we've, actually it's not much different. We'll find out. But it's the way it's spaced differently. So I'm pretty sure this one here will sit a bit lower. Only a smidge lower. But that with maybe and spacing the crossmember down, it might give us the clearance we need to fit a gearbox. Now, this is where this comes in. This is a gearbox. Now this is a V6 manual off a M112 engine. And I'm pretty sure this one is off a 2.6 V6. Which means it's not quite up to a job of a 5 litre V8. Its rated torque is nowhere near what that engine puts out as standard. But if nothing else, it'll work for now for me to mock up things because the bell housing is correct, the size of the gearbox, it's all about right. So I'm pretty sure the other gearboxes that rated higher are still identical to this. But I've been unable to get the one that I spoke about in the previous video so far still. So I need to chase him up and see if it's possible to have that. He's been a bit of a pain. But no matter what, we've got this now. So I got that at a pretty good price. So it's perfect for mocking up. Bolt straight up. Obviously I haven't got a shifter. I've got the mount, which is good. And I haven't got a flywheel or a clutch or anything. So it's purely just for now mocking things up. But I needed that to better make the engine mounts. So yeah, we've ditched the wiring for the moment. I've bought a whole load more stuff for the wiring. It's already here. I just haven't got around to building the ECU box yet. So the next video, possibly, we'll start with maybe start to assemble all the ECU controls or into some kind of nice tidy box maybe. And what I'm still going to probably do is make all the wiring on this engine work on this engine first. So I want to get that engine on that pallet running and get that engine mounted. Now that one's also on half the mileage to that one is. So that's also a bonus. And to aid me, I finally gone ahead and got 2 Chinese engine support beams. Now they were just over, I think, like 53 quid a piece. You know, I couldn't build them for that, let alone the time it takes to build them. So we got them, and that will allow us to hang the engine in the bay on 4 points, and I can then get it all leveled up and mocked up perfectly, and have it self-supported going up and down the lift. So that will help me out no end. So I best shut up now, really, but no. And we'll try and get this engine in a minute, lowered into the bay. I think I'll take the gearbox off, and I might quickly try and space the crossmember out. That, of course, is going to affect our steering geometry and all that kind of stuff, but we can get adjustable, I forgot what they're called now, the lower arms, I forgot what they're called, but we can get adjustable ones of them which would bring the tracking back in. I know on the P100 they actually space the crossmember down, so it's not like it's an unheard of thing. Ford done it from factory. So let's crack on anyway. Just been down to my local Ford dealership, and yeah, they had some lowering kits for the crossmember in stock. Oh, I got some left over. There it is. 25mm, perfect. And of course, grade 0 threaded bar. That's all you need. You don't need the old high tensile UNF fine thread imperial bolts. That's rubbish. That'll do fine. Or that'll at least allow us to mock it up as a temporary, and then once we're all spec'd up, we can order what we actually need. So that's now the cross member, spaced down by about 1 inch, I guess, so far. Now, let's get the car down and get an engine load into it. Well, the beams are certainly come in use. Now, I'm not sure if this engine fits worse than that one so far. It doesn't seem to like the hole as much. I'm sure we're actually sitting lower in there. I'll have to put the strut base in to see actually how low we are sitting. I can't because the bolts are in it. Just pretend. Yeah, that's sitting quite low. But I'm sure it's currently hitting on the steering rack. And engine tilt wise, we might need a bit less than that. This is hard to tell, because now the weight's sitting down actually on the wheels at the minute. The springs are too tough, and it's sitting too high at the front. So obviously that angle isn't quite, when that settles down to what it should be, well it won't do because the springs are too tough, that angle might not be too far off in the end. It's hard to gauge really. But I think the best thing we can do now is to pop underneath it, see where it's hitting on, see what clearances we got, and then go from there. I've already had to remove the steering UJs because of the manifold hitting on them. What we're doing like size wise here, we've got like a fist between the coil pack and the inner wing, this side. Yeah, if anything we're a couple mil so far, too far that way, but that's my very technical measurements. So I think I'm going to chuck it up in the air now and let's see what we've got underneath it. We have some updates. So the engine's in here and it's sitting, well I've got it now sitting a few mil off the toe. Aye, that doesn't matter at all. We've got a bit of a gap between the steering rack and the sump here. We've got a gap at the front here, all we could do with making a bit of clearance. Now, this is where the issues start. Gearbox. Got the gearbox mated up to it, but the angle and how low the gearbox is sitting is no good. That will not work. Now, obviously the only way to then fix this is the gearbox has to go up. Now this gearbox, especially, it's a very different shape to like the Type 9s in the RX-8 gearboxes and that. It stays pretty chunky for its whole duration. It's very short and chunky, which is now giving me an issue because this tunnel then needs to go up by, could be a few inches almost actually. So it means I need a bigger tunnel, which is obviously going to affect all the interior as well. Oh dear. This just got more complicated. Because I can't obviously bring the front down any lower. Well, one, because it's almost on the cross member as it is. Two, it's already low enough really. I don't want it sitting much lower than that if I can help it. And obviously no matter what, this gearbox will only fit if it goes up. So it's got to go up, which is a pain, a real big pain. Gives me a few options now, but I'm still now not so sure that that sump is actually any better, setup is any better than that one. So I might try that engine in again, because I don't think I'm actually getting it in any better position. But the issues I am having now is that I am restricted by this front bowl sump by this gap here. So that means I can't move the engine very much. Whereas with that setup, I had no restrictions. I could move it back and forth like wherever I wanted to. It fit perfect. So I'm just wondering now if I might actually still be better off. I'm going to measure it up using that other engine with the flat sump and the rear bowl. It might just be a bit easier. Engine mount wise though, we're looking pretty good. If I use the sort of Pinto cross member mounts up here and the bobbin style mount, maybe get a poly bushed one, that will then, I can make in a bracket from that straight up to the Merc engine mount points, which will work pretty well. So I'm quite happy with that. That's looking fairly simple, which is good. But these tunnel mods is not something I wanted to do. But I think I'm going to have to do them. From up here, yeah, the engine appears like it could almost do it coming down a smidge at the front, but we haven't got much room for it to come down because we can't move it backwards or forwards because of the steering rack. And the back there now, that's too low. It definitely, I'm sure, needs to sit higher than that. Which means the back has to come up, which means the tunnel has to go up as well. Ow! Now this wouldn't have been an issue if the gearbox wasn't the shape it is, but because of the shape it is, that does cause me a lot of issues here. But there's not much we can do about that, because if I use, where's the Merc engine mount a minute? Gearbox mount. Yeah, so compared to how this sat on the floor pan in the Merc, how far are we off? Oh yeah, look at that. So this was the fit how it fitted in the Merc. We're about 4 inches off there. Oh dear. We got some work to do. Well, that's a bit unfortunate. I was hoping the gearbox side was going to be straightforward. I was just hoping, but without shaped gearbox, no. So my next port call is going to be to try the other engine and just see how different that sits on the front. And then I'm going to have to pull some of the interior out and start chopping the tunnel up. That's all I can do. Because I am now set on having that engine in this car. Well, I've now got 2 of them and a gearbox. So I definitely want to use this engine. But, yeah. There's no room to move the sump up to lower the engine. Even if we could lower the engine more, that gearbox sits too low. So it's not going to work. The tunnel has to go up. But these things happen, and obviously we've got to get around them. And I'm determined, so one way or another, that engine will be in this car, running and driving. I have no idea how long this video's gone on for, because it's been in a few parts, recorded over a series of a few weeks, so I'm going to end it there, just to give you guys an update. I'm sorry it's been a bit late, but I've had so many other bits on, and it's been, yeah, getting the gearbox, getting that engine turn up and all that. It's taken a while. So I now need to order up a load more parts, but until I think I might order up parts to sort of do engine mounts with, but I don't want to go much further until that thing's mounted and I'm set on it being in the shell. So we might as well finish it there. Thank you for watching. There's obviously a few other videos prior to this on this build, and there's plenty of previous videos when I put the Cosworth in this over the years and done bits and bobs to it. And there's also loads of content on all sorts of things. So yeah, if you happen to have enjoyed this bit of a random video, despite the lack of success currently, then why not subscribe? Yeah, drop a comment. Tell me if I'm being an idiot. Tell me if you think I'm a genius for putting this engine in this car, or am I just plain stupid? Most people think I'm plain stupid, and I agree, but I like stupid, so I roll with it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I've been Jordan, and with any luck, I'll see you again next time. Cheers!